Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and today what we have for you is four great new decks, including those with the new cards and new spotlight cards. We're also going to preview the new season cards that released today. That is Captain Carter and Goliath, but we're going to kick it off with this absolute monster of a deck from Sizer. Yet, it's another Scream list. I think Scream is the best card in the game. I can't help it. I know it's sort of between Scream and Sam Wilson, but I do think Scream is slightly better as of right now. I think that her decks are just always top win rate, that they succeed in every game mode, that they can be optimized in order to beat fundamentally anything. These are the best. This deck has absolutely been crushing for Sizer, particularly in Conquest this season. You can find Sizer likely to finish the number one player in the season at twitch.tv/Sizer2654. The only high series card you ever really need for a Scream deck, unless you're running Scream Doom or something, which doesn't really exist anymore, is Scream. Hydra Bob can be Kingpin here. Copycat is more or less equal to Red Guardian. For Conquest, after a little bit, Sizer changed Copycat to Red Guardian. Red Guardian is enough with this list to give you a solid matchup into the discard lists that are all over the place, so if you're worried about that, run Red Guardian. If you don't have either of those cards, you're looking at Stegron or Miles. Rocket and Groot, too, can be Stegron or Miles, but Rocket and Groot's probably a card worth grabbing relatively soon. It's just really, really good. It might be in line for a 1-power nerf or something, but it is an incredibly strong card. Gladiator, likewise, is a very strong replacement here, and if you're worried about winning Prio, you can always do something like Negasonic if you're desperate and don't have anything else. This deck does run Juggernaut, which is my standard go-to, like, here's what I think you should replace it with in this deck. Sam and Iron Patriot are great. Sam is way more important than Iron Patriot. Iron Patriot is just a nice bonus, so hopefully you have Sam Wilson. Quake and Miles Morales are perfectly fine replacements there, and Cannonballs and Spotlights in a couple weeks, but for now, if you don't have it, run Shang-Chi. Let's go card by card and explain things. So Hydra Bob is really solid power. It gets you into locations that are hard to get to. 1/4 is just pretty good. The snap ability isn't necessarily a huge plus in this list because you don't run Miles Morales. That's why he's so easy to replace. But sometimes it lands on Craven and gives you an extra 2 power. Sometimes it lands on a location that can really help you out or prevents a clog, and that's really nice. 1/4 is good. You're going to need to learn to use the card if you haven't used him a lot. He is a card that's easy to misplay with. I can tell when opponents aren't really experienced with him, and I can sort of snap him into unfortunate positions, but most of the time he's very powerful. Scream is insanely strong. Check my Marvel Snap Zone article from yesterday if you want more on Scream, where I argue that it is the card of the month and the best card in the game. I truly believe Scream is exceptional. Her win rate is top notch. She not only does she disrupt your opponent, or the way you give her power disrupt your opponent, she scales upward at what amounts to a +4. So unless you are for some reason in a very Luke heavy meta, she's a game winning card and a snap condition all on her own. Iron Patriot's here just because he's good. He is, again, in no way important. He's the first card that you could replace as far as high series stuff, although I guess technically that'd be Copycat for Red Guardian. Iron Patriot's here because he's just too good not to run, right? You use him, and sometimes you win, and then when you win, you have a snap condition. It's really simple. If you don't play him, that's fine. If you don't end up winning him, that's fine. You don't need him for this list. He's just a nice extra bonus. Craven is sort of your backup Scream. He works with Scream, but it's mostly your backup Scream. He's your other scaler. He only gets +2 for move instead of +4, but with Sam Wilson, which doesn't move opponent's cards for Scream, you can end up with a reasonably big Crave by the end of the game, so that works out reasonably well. Sam has the shield, which moves to go onto the Craven, which is what it's really here for, and moves to go onto the Sam himself, and that's just a lot of power. 2/8 is also about the biggest you're going to get from a 2-drop in general, outside of Scream, which can obviously get much bigger, but you don't need to do any extra work for Sam Wilson, Captain America. He's just a massive amount of power. Spoiler alert, he's going to be in a lot of decks today. Sorry, we've got replacements for most of them, but he's in a lot of decks. Spider-Man is like the key turn 4 or turn 5 play for this list. Basically, once you get a Scream or a Craven out, you're sort of trying to do a mini clog thing here because you have Cannonball. So Spider-Man and Polaris are your ways to do that in a deck that doesn't run Stegron, which is pretty good. The problem with Stegron is people tend to play left and center before they play right, so Stegron can make clogging a little bit tough, but Spider-Man doesn't really care where a card is, nor does Polaris, and they're your clog package. Obviously, Spider-Man also plays with Scream for a bunch of extra power, while also playing with Craven for some extra power as well. Juggernaut is your turn 5 or 6 play, basically saying my opponent needs to do this right now. No, they don't have enough power there. I win. Juggernaut's one of the strongest cards in the game. We did our top 10 cards of Marvel Snap about 2 weeks ago, and Juggernaut made the top 10. So did Scream, so did Iron Patriot, so did Sam Wilson, so did Rocket and Groot. This deck just runs a lot of really strong cards. Mobius is here because otherwise you'd lose to certain decks like Mr. Negative. Mobius says, don't worry about it. I'm just going to win that matchup. Mobius also thinks that Bullseye matchup is really, really cute. because now they can't get rid of the swarms, and if they're trying to build a big dock in, you've got Scream to take care of that nonsense, and Juggernaut to mess up their like Grandmastery plays. So there's a lot to like about this deck in that particular matchup as well, and Mobius makes it much, much easier to win that and the Mr. Negative that are still all over the place. Rock and Groot's one of the best cards in the game. Rock and Groot helps you control where your opponent plays cards, which is again important because there's a mini clog package, and it also just plays. I want to say it plays for 3/7, but honestly, it plays for more like 3/9 or 3/11 most games. It's absolutely huge and absolutely backbreaking. It will take time to learn to where to play him and how to use him, but once you get it, you're great. Copycat or Red Guardian are your swing spots here. Copycat is if you're in a very good stuff meta. If your opponents are largely playing like Agamotto decks, Copycat is better. If your opponents are playing like Discard or other decks like that, Red Guardian is better. It's an answer to the meta. Polaris, much like Spider-Man, is your other mover that really is going to work for Scream and Clog. It's also just really solid power as a 3/5. And then finally, Cannonball is again either turn 5 or turn 6. 5/8 is a lot of power, especially because it removes power from its lane. You can consider each lane its own unit of power, and Cannonball gives you a gigantic swing, often playing for 15 or more power in one single lane, sometimes like 20 or more power in one single lane, which is generally speaking a lane winning play. And then you've got Juggernaut to win another, and bada bing, the game is over. All right, so Sizer went 18-3 with this, which is an 86% win rate in Conquest. This is all gold in Infinite Conquest. He got at least 3 borders with it. Turn 1, you want Hydra Bob. Turn 2, Scream with a snap over Iron Patriot. And your Iron Patriot, if you're pretty sure you can win. Generally speaking, they'll all play Craven or Sam. You just want a critical mass of 2 drops. Again, so Iron Patriot is here. But if you can win it, you can snap it, so that's pretty good. Craven and Sam are usually not snap conditions, but they are very nice. Fair warning, if you're playing Scream, do your best to play Scream um, behind the Sam Wilson shield if possible, because this way that will protect it from Red Guardian. Turn 3, you want Rocket Groot. As a general rule, try prioritizing it. It is a ton of power and offers you a massive amount of control. If the opponent is obviously playing negative, if they dropped a Ravonna, if they dropped a Zabu and Mobius is going to wreck them, drop a Mobius, obviously. Mobius can be a snap condition in those circumstances, and Polaris is totally fine. Remember, you're using Polaris to try and clog. You can also feel free to play a turn 2. You have a lot of 2s. Turn 4 is generally speaking going to end up being a 2/2 because of all the stuff you have. However, if you played Rocket and Groot and have Polaris, it is reasonably often just going to be Polaris. That's really nice because if you don't draw Hydra Bob on one, this is a nice spot to fit Hydra Bob in. Turn 5, Cannonball. And Cannonball can be a snap if it basically guarantees you a lane. You'll know. If they've got 3 and 2 lanes, right, and then one lane almost empty, you know your Cannonball is going to clog that lane, which is likely to win something. Or you're going to go 3 and 2, which is also, again, likely going to clog. And then turn 6 is either Cannonball or Juggernaut Plus, and you will look at the board and you will know if they do anything reasonable, Juggernaut wins this lane, and I can win this other lane through X, Y, or Z, snap. You will know that they are clogged and I've won a lane and I've got Cannonball, and if I Cannonball this lane, that card is gone, snap. Cool. This all makes sense to you. This is a very simple deck to play. Not the easiest thing in the world, but as far as like high power mid-range decks, this is a very good way to learn that archetype. It's one of the highest win rate cards and decks basically ever on the Infinite Leaderboard. If you need a security blanket, feel free to run Shang-Chi, but I don't think you're going to need it. This list is wild. All right, we're going to get to the new cards, but first I want to ask you to hit that sub button if you're willing. We're trying to hit 25,000 subs in 2025. We're only like less than 400 away from 20,000. And if you can help us get there, it'd mean the world. In return, we're also giving away 5 season passes this week. We've got 2 in this video, and we're giving away 5 freaking more. So all I have to do is sub, like, comment. Nice and simple, right? Sub, like, comment. I'll tell you what comment to leave. And later this video, announce the 2 winners in a separate spot later. But if you'd like to win a free Captain Carter at the end of the week, please hit that sub, like, and comment. Don't forget, we are going to announce our winners in a little bit. Captain Carter, for anyone who missed it, is the season pass card for April. She is a 4/3 ongoing. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. So ideally, you're getting her in the front. If you're getting her in the front, she is going to be giving 6 power to the opponents. That's a 4/9, pretty damn good. We are happy to play a 4/9, but any buffs to her will carry over to the back row. Whether that be a ongoing buff like a Captain America Classic, or whether that be a classic, a permanent buff like Spectrum. Any of these plays will give her a lot of power. I think she's going to be great. It's going to be a little tricky to play her and find the exact right decks. I'm going to show you where I'm going to start with her momentarily, but it's also worth noting that she comes very, very well placed with 2 other cards that released this season. We know later this season, Dum Dum Dugan, who is a 2/3 that gives +1 to the front row cards here, right? Outside of himself. And then we have Goliath, who we're going to talk about momentarily. Both go great with her. She seems like she's made for ongoing shells, but I'm not sure she's only going to work on ongoing shells. If I can hit her with anything from a Nakia to a Forge to whatever else, giving 4 or 5 power to 2 cards, this scales up very quickly and seems incredibly strong. I think Captain Carter is going to be a great card, and the Season Pass remains the very best thing you can buy in Marvel Snap, and I cannot urge anyone who can afford it enough to do so. We're going to take a look at a deck momentarily, but first let's talk about Goliath, the Spotlight card this week. Reminder, Spotlight cards are going away for the month, and I'm going to say this right up front. Lauren Whatevs did a bunch of amazing math on Marvel Snap Zone. Check it out if you're interested. She has a wonderful article that has like all the math breakdown. If possible, if you only need 1 card from Spotlights, you should use tokens. If possible, if you need 2 cards from Spotlights, you should use keys. All other caveats still apply. Never open with less than 4 keys. And yeah, that's basically the gist. And wait until later in the week before you make any real decisions, because we're not sure if Goliath will be good on day one. Remember, 2 weeks ago, when everyone in the game, including me, thought Fire Hair was going to be incredible, and a bunch of people went out and bought Fire Hair immediately, and Fire Hair is just kind of good but not great. Well, shall we note that um, that while Fire Hair is good but not great, if you bought her, you're now sitting on something that's mostly dead tokens. Wait until the end of the week. By Friday, we'll have a weekend review. We're going to do a first impressions tomorrow. We're going to do a first impressions of top players Thursday. We're going to do a weekend mission review Friday. Then Monday or Sunday, we're going to do a last chance review. We will make sure that you have the best information about whether to buy Goliath or not. But for now, I think he's going to be very strong. I think a 2-1 scalar, ongoing, +1 power for each other ongoing you have in play is going to be very strong. He's almost always going to play as at least a 2-6. That's a lizard without the downside. And if he can play as a 2-7, 2-8, 2-9, now we're getting into Sam Wilson territory, and he's absolutely stellar. He doesn't have to be played in a lane with other cards, so he should be relatively safe from Enchantress. He's a threat. He's just a real threat. Oh, he also works really, really well with Moonstone. Like if you go Goliath into speed into Moonstone, A, your Moonstone's getting shined, but B, you won that lane. He's going to be very good once more. All right, he comes with 2 other cards, as all Spotlights do, at least for the rest of this month. We'll see thereafter. Make sure you check the video that explains this, again, from Friday if you missed it. Uh, Goliath comes with Gwenpool and Cersei. Gwenpool is an excellent card. She is a power scaler in basically most of the powerful mid-range decks that exist in Marvel Snap. We're going to look at one later this video. Gwenpool is, as of right now, a card you want to own. There is a possibility that next week's card, Kahori, who is a 4-6 as well, like Gwenpool, but gives +1 power to your cards on the board for each card you have in hand. So usually 3 or 4. So she's going to play as a 4-9, 4-10, but she can play as a 4-6, just like Gwenpool. But she hits the board, whereas Gwenpool still requires you to play the cards. So like there's a bit more upside to her. It's possible that Kahori kicks Gwenpool out of the meta. I'm not so sure that we're not just going to sort of run all these cards. And if that's the case, then Gwenpool still remains a must-have card. Cersei is a fine card. We've got a cool Cersei deck for you that's pretty effective, but I don't think Cersei is like great or anything. As far as the variants go, I really want this Gwenpool. The only Gwenpool variant we have in the game right now is the one you got from her season pass, so I'm gonna go get this Gwenpool variant. I don't really like this Goliath. It's okay. I don't know. It feels, I don't know. It's too blue for me. It's something off about it to me. And I really don't like this Cersei variant. There was a super rare Cersei that I bought recently that I like a lot better than this. So I think I'm gonna grab Goliath. I gotta test it, and I'm gonna go for Gwenpool. All right, Captain Latveria is our deck here. We've got Captain America, and Captain Carter. No, the shield won't work with Captain Carter. That was confirmed, but this is going to be my day one deck. I'm not 1,000% sold on both Zabu and Psylocke, but I want to give it a try because getting Captain Carter or Doom out early does seem incredibly freaking strong. If I feel like if I can do that, I should be very far ahead. Doom 2099 lost power, I'm convinced, because of this week, because the Doom bots powering up Goliath as an extra as you play other ongoings really scales that up out of control. And Doombots go in whatever lane, right? So you should be able to get Captain Carter in a lane, and then a Doombot or two get behind it, and now that's an insane lane. I'm very excited for this combo and this deck. This is what I'm going to start with on stream tonight. You can find me at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, streaming later on today. I should be streaming sometime around 8 p.m. Eastern. This deck needs Doom 2099 and Sam Wilson. Those two are absolutely required cards. Captain Carter can be Iron Lad, that's what it was before, and Goliath can be Gorgon. Let's go card by card here. So Ant-Man is a nice cheap ongoing. It's 5 power, but it's 5 power that can get scaled up by Spectrum, that can get scaled up by Captain America, Prime Captain America. So it's really, really extra powerful in this list. It's very, very strong for a 1-drop. Zabu is here because I want to get Captain Carter or Doom 2099 out early. Captain Carter wants to be in the front row, and getting her out on turn 3 makes that more likely, and Doom 2099 gives us an extra Doombot if I get it out of turn early. That's why Zabu is here, nice and simple. Goliath is incredible. If I get, let's say I get Doom on turn 4, I get a Doombot at the end of 4, 5, and 6. That's already a 2/4 Goliath. I play an Ant-Man, 2/5. I've got Cap Shield, 2/6. I play a Blue Marvel, 2/7. And then I drop at some point a Sam, 2/8. Great, seems good. I can still scale that up with Spectrum. I can play Doombots and just take things over the top. I'm very excited for Goliath in this deck. Basically, every power that a Doombot lost, Goliath is going to grab right back. Psylocke is my other way to get these cards out early in Captain Carter and Doom 2099. I'm not sure we want both. It turns out the first time that we did not want Zabu, we just wanted Psylocke. We shall see. Sam Wilson is 2/8 in power, much like Goliath is often going to end up. Sam's shield is also an extra thing that can buff Captain America or be buffed by Captain America, an extra thing to be buffed by Spectrum and Blue Marvel. Also, it should help us get Captain Carter into the front when we require her to be so. Captain America, proper, classic, buffs the entire deck, more or less, except for Zabu, Psylocke, and then Doom and Spectrum, so about half the deck, more than half the deck. And its buff in particular on Captain Carter will be doubled, assuming you can get them in the right locations. If you go in one location, you go Captain America into Captain Carter, even if you don't play another ongoing there, you're giving +5 to the back row, which seems like it's pretty good. If that's just a as Ant-Man and a Zabu, right? Like now those are threats. That lane is a threat immediately when these two cards are placed together, which seems awesome. We've got our Super Scroll here because I think everyone's going to be playing ongoing for the day, so we're running Super Scroll as our answer to that. That card can change into Iron Lad once ongoing sort of goes down, but for the week, start packing your Enchantresses or packing your Super Scrolls or packing your Echoes because ongoing is going to be everywhere. Captain Carter, we've sort of discussed throughout. She's here largely to buff the Doombots. She works amazingly well with Captain America because she's an ongoing. She works amazingly well with Spectrum, and she works amazingly well with the Doombots proper, making them 3 base power. You know how like they're 0. We're making them 3 base power. That's insane. At least 3 base power. Oh, she also works with Blue Marvel. Excuse me. Doom 2099's demise has been greatly exaggerated. The list isn't great in Conquest, or it doesn't go tall enough, but it still maintained a high 50% win rate in on ladder, and I think the new cards are going to push it right back to the top. Larval is a board-wide buff. He's often the card I skip playing, to be in perfect honesty. Like if I play Doom on 4, I'll probably play Captain Carter on 5 over him if I can get my placement right, especially if I have Doctor Doom still in hand. But if sometimes I don't have Doctor Doom in hand, right? And then I'll want to play Blue Marvel because I can Spectrum the board across and I've got +3 to my whole board. There's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B here. He is still very good. His buff again is doubled. By Captain Carter and anything in the back row of her lane. He's also very good. Cap Shield as a 2 power is just suddenly real power. Doombots get their 1 power back, etc. Doctor Doom is really good with Doom 2099 in ways that we all understand. The Doombots buff each other. And then Spectrum buffs 3/4 of your board, including doubling her buff for, again, Captain Carter, as long as you have, doubling her buff for Captain Carter, period. That's it. So that seems really good while also hitting all the Doombots. It's unclear whether you're going to play Doom or Spectrum more on the last turn. It's going to depend on what your board is, but either way, you're pretty far ahead when you make one of those two choices. All right, so turn 1, you want Zabu over Ant-Man. Turn 2, Psylocke if 2099 or Agent Carter over Sam over Goliath. Turn 3, 2099 or Captain Carter, and I'm going to begin, as long as I don't think my opponent has Enchantress, by snapping on that. You can then play Cap Classic or over Sam over Goliath. Turn 4. Oh, sorry. You can play Cap Classic if you still don't have any 4, because then you can go Sam and Goliath on 4 just fine. All right. Turn 5, you want 2099 over Captain Carter over 2/2s. Nice and simple. 2/2s are perfectly fine here. Again, if you're going Sam and Goliath after playing Classic Cap, you've got a lot of power. You can still play Blue Marvel. You can still play Captain Carter and Ant-Man, and then drop a Spectrum, and you've got a ton of power. You should still be able to compete, especially, or even better if you have Super Scroll. So Blue Marvel, Carter, 3/2, or Super Scroll are your turn 5 plays, and then turn 6 is Spectrum or Doom Classic, and you're gonna have to count to see which is more power and which works better for you. This is where I'm starting with this list. There might be too much Enchantress for this for day 1. I might be forced to run like a Cosmo as a counter. I hope not. I hope people test out the new card so we can get a good feel for it nice and early. And I'm pretty sure that Captain Carter is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and this home is going to be really strong. Welcome back, 2099. Hey, again, come check out a stream tonight. Our season pass question, if you'd like to win a Captain Carter by the end of the week, is very simply, what's your plan with spotlights? Cool. All you have to answer is, what are you doing with spotlights? Are you planning to wait and see for Goliath? Are you opening right away? Are you skipping it because you don't like it? Are you going to try and skip this month and then double dip with the new snap pack next month? What are you going to try and do? Our first two winners of Captain Carter, this is from the two Friday videos, are Tuga12 and Slippy. Please reach out at the ways on screen. There is still one more past giveaway. It's the Spotlight Cash Guide video from Saturday. So if you'd like to go check that video out and comment, you can still enter win season pass there. Our next deck is Agamotto Peef. This is from Jet 13. Peef is not really needed here, but the rest of this list works ridiculously well. Peef is just in every Jet deck. Jet is a top player. He's been at the top of the infinite leaderboard with Phoenix Force before, and this list is absolutely awesome. You can find Jet at twitch.tv/Jet13. There should be 5 E's in there. I might have added one extra. This deck needs Mockingbird, Sasquatch, Sam, Gwenpool, Ichiri, Agamotto, and Misery. You can probably cut Ichiri and Agamotto, but I couldn't figure out anything that really made sense to cut them for. If you would like to try and run cheaper things, you should be fine. You are going to need Misery for Hood, which is the real innovation here, and I think it's brilliant. Misery plus Hood gives you an extra way to have a bunch of cheap cards that will make Mockingbird cheaper, because remember, you're running Sam here. So if you play 2 Demons on turn 5 after Misery on a Hood on 4, you now have a 3-cost Mockingbird right off the bat, and then you've now made your Sasquatch 4. So if you can manage to play something else with your other 3 energy there, you can Mockingbird and Sasquatch at the end of the game, which is amazing. Fastos and Phoenix Force are not needed. We're talking Hope, Luna, Shang, Killmonger, anything along those lines. So the Hood is here largely because it's really easy to get rid of with Misery, and you're happy to take the -3. We usually don't want to take a -3 here. Oh, that's what Agamotto could be. It could be Nico. Sorry about that. All right, so that's another Series 5 card. It's not a great replacement. But the Hood gives you the Demons, and the double Demons are incredible for your late game. If you don't draw Hood on turn 1, you're probably not really likely to play it unless you hit it with Gwenpool, I guess. But if you do hit it with, but if you do manage to get it out early, then you should be way, way ahead. King Eitri gets you one of your spells. The Everyone goes crazy about the 2-cost spell, which the Winds of Watum. I lost the name for a sec. Sorry, the Winds of Watum spell. I don't think the Winds of Watum is anything special, especially for this list. This list, however, absolutely loves the +3 energy, where if you do that on turn 4, and you can do stuff like Gwenpool and Misery. You can Misery off that Hood and Gwenpool hitting hopefully Mysterio and stuff. You're going crazy. If you can do that on Fastos, for example, you're going wild. You can just go Hood, Fastos, Misery all in one turn and just go completely crazy. Lots of awesome things to do with those combos early that the spells allow you to do, and that's what Eitri gets you. Eitri also gives you Icon, and Icon is incredible because making a bunch of things like Mysterio clones and used up Hoods and Eitris into Mockingbirds or Sasquatches or even Demons is great. Sam Wilson makes you a 1 cheaper Mockingbird, which is basically the point here, but he also can be a 2/8 if you play him on 2, and both of those things are great. Mysterio is incredibly strong. Mysterio gives you immediately a 3-cost Sasquatch and a 3-cost Mockingbird. Feel free, have fun. That's insanely strong. He's also incredible in that he keeps the buffs. All of the clones keep the buffs from both Gwenpool and Fastos, and you are running both of those. Fastos is pulling triple duty here. He's actually really good. He makes all of the spells 1 cheaper permanently, right? That is just a thing he does because they can't gain power. He's +2 if it hits Mysterio, will turn Mysterio into a 10 power card. You're playing 2/10, which is insane. And then you can also destroy him with Misery and get extra power because he's not so strong that you mind doing that. This is a very good Fastos list. Phoenix Force is here because it's Jet. You can bring back Hood and Fastos with Phoenix Force sometimes. You don't especially want to do that, but sometimes you do. Enchantress is here to answer things that this deck otherwise couldn't. In this current meta, Enchantress is incredible. We're about to see an influx of ongoing stuff with Captain Carter, and now all of a sudden Enchantress is amazing, and this deck naturally runs it. Gwenpool is, generally speaking, your turn 4 play. It's Gwenpool or Misery. Gwenpool wants to hit Mysterio. It'll take any hits, right? Gwenpool makes anything a threat. That's her brilliance. But if it hits Mysterio, it goes completely crazy. If it hits Mysterio once, you've got the 2/10. If it's Mysterio more than once, you've got Doom. Misery, we've talked about. Again, we're looking at Hood and Fastos as our targets. Agamotto, we've talked about. You don't really want to play the 5/10 as a general rule, but you do want to take those other extra spells from it, so you run the card as sort of a penalty, and the 5/10 body is pretty good. And then Mockingbird and Sasquatch are cheap power. That's all they do. All right, so this is a 66% win rate in 35 games in Jets hands. Turn 1, King Eitri over Hood. Turn 2, Sam over Mysterio if Sasquatch, which is better than a 1. Turn 2, you want Fastos over a 2, and this is a really, really good ball fact turn. You can do Sasquatch. If you do the Mysterio into Sasquatch and you have Icon, now you're really, really getting ahead that way because you can turn like an Eitri or a Hood with the Mysterio clone into 3 Sasquatches, a nice casual 30 power lane. Turn 4, you have Gwenpool over Misery, Fastos and Hood, and again, you would really like to play Balthak and just do some giant combination like discussed earlier. Turn 5, Mysterio Plus is your goal. If you played Mysterio, you're just going to try and play a bunch of demons and cheap stuff as best you can. And then turn 6, Mockingbird, Sasquatch, and whatever else. Go to town, enjoy your victory. You've played 8 million power on the last turn. This list is awesome. Props to Jet. I took one look at it and I went, why are we running Phoenix Force Misery? And I got a little annoyed because I love featuring Jet decks, but now that like he's just shoving Misery and Phoenix Force and everything, it's not as fun to share him because I'm like, I don't know, just take those 2 cards out. No, Misery is phenomenal in this list. I still don't really like Phoenix Force here, but Misery is absolutely phenomenal in this list, and I cannot urge you to give this one a try enough. Oh, other play. You can do if you played Hood into Fastos, right? And then sorry, Hood into little blah. If you played Balthak and then you go Hood, Fastos, Misery, you can Phoenix Force one of those back on turn 5, which is just really, really strong, right? If you Phoenix Force and you get an extra Fastos, you get an extra card, either super cheap or super huge. You get an extra demon, you're pretty damn happy. Please, if you want to see some gameplay from this before I get home, check out the stream team. The great Prashan will be playing some at noon. Next up, we've got Best Cersei. This is our last list of the day. And this one has been floating around for a while. We're not 100% sure who made it, but I found this on Untapped, as did Ika, and we both had a lot of success with it. So I'm going to urge you to give this one a try if these are cards you own. This one's a little bit, like, it's not the cheapest thing, but most of what it needs are Series 4 cards. Outside of Cersei, if you get Cersei, you're pretty happy. You can find Ika streaming all the damn time at twitch.tv/Ika_MTS. He's awesome, brilliant, has the best mustache, and wears a silly hat. This deck does need Darkhawk and Annihilus. If you don't have Cersei, you can run Lady Deathstrike. Gorgon and Iron Patriot can be Sam Wilson, Shadow King Pixie. Take your pick of good 2s. Cassandra Nova can be Juggernaut. Gorgon is very good here because the rocks that they draw will have +1 cost, which is insane and super frustrating. Cassandra Nova will be good here because the rocks that are in their deck will give Cassandra Nova extra power. Cool. Card by card. The Hood has 2 real ways to get rid of here. You can get rid of the Hood through Annihilus or through Cersei, which means you are fairly often going to play the Hood right, which is a bit of foreshadowing, unfortunately. You don't love doing that, but sometimes you're going to want to Cersei it off. You can choose to just deal with the Hood. It's not the end of the world in this particular list, but it's not ideal. Korg is +1 power on your Darkhawk, and if they, sorry, +2 power on your Darkhawk, and if they draw a rock, Gorgon makes it more expensive. It also is +1 power on Cassandra Nova, and it's just really, really, really frustrating, right? Like, you draw a rock, you've lost a draw, and you're now less favored. Gorgon disrupts a massive amount of decks in the meta. I watched Sizer earlier playing Bounce Move, and he kept frigging things, and all of a sudden those frigged things were more expensive. And Gorgon's just really strong into way more of the stuff than he immediately seemed like he was going to be. Also, you're putting rocks in their deck, make him more expensive. Iron Patriot gives you cheap stuff and is strong. I don't know, he's in a lot of decks just because he's really good. So he's here. You know why? Because he's really good. Cassandra Nova is very big. There's all of a sudden a lot of Thanos and Arishem running around, at least in High Infinite, and Cassandra Nova is insane against those decks, while also just being a very good follow-up to Iron Patriot and very good with Korg and Rockslide. If you've played both Korg and Rockslide, she's even a fine play on like turn 5. Mobius is your winner into rough to play against decks, as he always is. Shang is, my opponent got too big, this deck doesn't get too tall, so if you're having trouble with that, Shang says, power must be controlled. Rockslide is extra power for Darkhawk. He's the card you are most likely to skip in playing, but is still required for the deck. Really wish he was a 4/6 though. Sentry is great, phenomenal here. Getting a free 5 out of Cersei is amazing. Sending -9 to the opponent's side of the board with Annihilus is amazing. Sentry is one of the key cards, and like he's not a snap condition because he is telegraphed, but he is very strong. Darkhawk is huge. Oh, big stats, good stuff. Disruption, 4 big stats, good stuff. Annihilus is here to send over Sentry and Hood and just any other bullshit that happens to happen, since sometimes negative locations and other things get in your way. Annihilus says sometimes you get auto wins from all that stuff. And then, of course, Cersei turns anything negative into a positive for you. Last turn, you don't really have much use for Mobius anymore or Rockslide anymore, right? Why not turn them into a good 4 and a good 5? Sometimes Cersei's going to betray you, but most of the time she ends up doing positive things. So turn 1 you want Hood if no 2, and you have Gorg if you have a 2. Turn 2 is Iron Patriot or Gorgon. If they have a bunch of extra cards, Gorgon can be a snap condition. Sometimes they'll have Mobius and you'll run. Sometimes you'll just free win. Iron Patriot you play if you think you can win. Cassandra Nova usually means that. Turn 3 is Cassandra Nova. Turn 4 is Mobius, and again, Mobius is if you think you're going to win. Turn 4 is generally based on what 5 you've had. You'd usually prefer to play Sentry because you have Annihilus and Cersei for Sentry, but sometimes you'll Rock Slide. Turn 5, Annie, Cersei, or Darkhawk. Look at what you've played. If you played Hood and Sentry, you want Annie or Cersei. If you played a bunch of rocks, you want Darkhawk. And then turn 6 is the same thing, the another one of those plus a demon. Sometimes it's Shang too. This list is really cool. I don't know who made it. If anyone does know who made it, please feel free to shoot me a line. Actually, while we're here, Tobishi is ranked number 3 on the Infinite Leaderboard, and I cannot find a single player in Marvel Snap who knows who that is. If anyone knows who Tobishi is, or if you are Tobishi, could you reply or get me in touch with that person, please? I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Questions of the day. First, from our friend Caretix Lee, what cards do I wish came with the spotlight? We answer that every week at this time. Ms. Marvel, Doom, 2099, and Iron Lad are the cards I really wish were coming in spotlights this week. I think that would offer a lot of extra value for the new card. Buff Captain America asks why I hate birds. I answered that yesterday. Oops, we didn't do a second question. We'll be fine. All right, ignore that. That was my Infinite last season. We're going to update that with my Infinite this season within a day or two. I'm not going to stay up all night to grind, but within a day or two. Check out patreon.com/snapjudgments if you're interested. First, our patron of the month, Fat Nick. Thank you so much for the support. Now, our Patreon thanks. Abigail Gleason, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, Always Kind, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Neverete, Thinking Poker, Prime Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Caretix Lee, Koi Ray. Hey, Caretix Lee, the King of Questions, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Absolute Shannon. You guys are always hanging on my Discord, so I stuck you together. Let me know if that's cool. Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeep is 23, XOC and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, hello, Skippy, Jess, how you doing? Mr. Slush Death, thank you so much. King of Bros, bruh, congrats on top 4. The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kev C. Hoda, Luna, Ludacris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Bricks 2 Click, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen Brian Kaufman, Stace Martin, and Jason B. with Mr. Craig Sterry and Matt V. as a special guest. His real name town is Real Full Town. Ren Wrench, who just got an infinite border with one of my decks. Props, Ren. Corwin, Junk Hugh, and Jimmy McHugh. Yes, Stout, 8th Sage, one big man. Milkman for Reels, Cactus Jack, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe. Mod Supreme Models, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Dump, Spectrumix, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ, Mikey, Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Nick, the Greek Geek, what's up, Nicky, Zodrex, the King of Canada, Deadman Falcon, Fothor Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, the Great Lauren Whatevs, whose article you must read on Marvel Snap Zone, the Pirate King Tucker, who will be on the podcast tomorrow, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for, wow, that's a lot of stuff. Hope I see you on stream, and if not, I'll see you tomorrow for another Marvel Snap video. I'll have a bunch of cool decks for Captain Carter that work and for Goliath that work tomorrow. Some together, some with only one. Wait for it. Peace.